Have you always wanted big, powerful arms like the ones you see in movies? Because let's be honest, arms are the first thing people notice. They make your whole physique look better, even if your skin is so pale it reflects shadows like mine. But no matter how much I spam them, my arms still struggle to fill out a medium t-shirt. Then I tried something backwards, training arms before leg day, which breaks bro code, but it worked. Now my arms are 18 inches, naturally, training just 4 days a week. So in this video, I'll show you why typical arm days might be holding you back, why exercise order and recovery actually matter, and at the end, how to structure a smarter program to make your arms the one thing in inches you don't have to lie about. When I first started lifting all those years ago, I did what every gym bro does, which was train 5 days a week. And of course, I had a dedicated arm day because arm day Fridays, get ready for the weekend. I was obsessed. I just wanted to have arms that looked like they were freaking endorsed by Viagra. In that arm day, I was spamming the hell out of curls, tricep extensions, did 4 sets on each exercise, doing partials, I was doing drop sets. And don't get me wrong, like I grew, just as all beginners do, because a light breeze will get your beginner gains. But there came a point when they just slowed down to a halt. What I didn't realize is that biceps and triceps aren't like every other fucking ice cream van. Yeah, on this scorching UK day. Anyway, they don't recover like other muscles, but just because they don't get super sore, that doesn't mean that they're ready to get railed again. And this is why soreness isn't a great gauge on your readiness to train. And research shows that they recover slower than nearly every other muscle group because they are packed with fast twitch muscle fibers, which are really powerful, but they fatigue easily. So imagine each muscle group as a water bowl where they've accumulated fatigue from the amount of sets that you've done in a workout. Now, I was originally planning to drain these as a practical metaphor, but I don't want to waste them. Plus, listen to that, drier than a nun's knickers. So something like quads, I was reenacting Frodo drinking Sam's last drops of water. I can't do it anymore, I can't. You get the idea. So quads recover quickly within a day or two. Biceps and triceps, don't worry, happens to all bottles. They recover a lot slower. Just imagine I drank way more. My body is now 80% water and 20% regret. Oh my God, I can't even sit correctly. And so when you bomb your arms with 20 sets per muscle on a Friday and then try benching on a Monday, you're setting yourself up for failure because the arms are involved with nearly every upper body movement. So not only are your arms small, but now all of you is experiencing the cold shower effect. Not small, just sports mode or hybrid athlete. I'm kidding. Not really. All right, so if annihilating your arms in one session isn't the route to take, then what is the actual frequency and volume that we want to be aiming for? Shit. There's a reason I'm a PT. So if we go by the recommended 12 to 20 sets per muscle group per week to maximize muscle gains, it's going to be a lot more productive if we split these up across the week. But how much should we do per workout? 10 sets? Maybe, but the thing is not all sets are created equal. I feel like Blue Peter. This one I made earlier. You think of your workout volume like squeezing toothpaste out of a tube. First few sets come out clean and effective. A lot of stimulus for not a lot of fatigue. I've got one shot at this. But you keep squeezing sets 4, 5, 6. Now you're twisting and rolling and putting the tube into a bloody headlock just to get less and less out. And once you push past 8 sets, then you're getting really fanny all stimulus out, but you're just going to be making a mess of your recovery in the process. And that's when we start entering into junk volume. May as well. The sweet spot that we see is anywhere between kind of 4 to 6 sets per muscle group per session. Repeated 2 to 3 times per week means that we're going to get 8 to 18 hard quality sets of max stimulus on a muscle in a training week, compared to your mate's shitty 10 to 20 sets within one session. Who do we think is going to grow more? But honestly, start on the lower end, 3 to 5 quality sets within a session, repeated twice per week. If you're progressing with that, there's no real need to add more. And that's the real secret when it comes to long-term muscle growth, progressive overload, which is what we're going to cover next. Don't worry, I'm not going to waste it. Just got to make sure I don't mistake it for shower gel. You see, we don't progressive overload to get strong. We progressive overload because we got strong. Let's make it simple. Imagine we're in a gym with some noisy gym members grunting away. Progressive overload is like turning the dial up on a speaker. As the grunts get louder, you getting stronger, we turn the dial up, adding rep and weight so that we can match the same level and keep stimulus the same. The thing is, if you're chasing progressive overload on paper, but then your form is trash, it's a bit like adding a blow-up doll to your body count. And it's really easy for you to miss these little micro regressions in form from session to session just because you're trying to chase a bigger number on paper. And then you end up reducing your range of motion and you're suddenly the quarter squatter in the gym who's now on a gym fail meme page. The funny thing is the person who's fixated on perfect form and then the ego lifter are cut from the same cloth. They're both making the exercise easier because they're reducing the amount of tension that's on the muscle. The perfect form person is using less load because they're scared of shitting a kidney, and then the ego lifter is swinging and using momentum, not realizing that they're not actually adding that tension onto the muscle. And we do have research to show that lifting form can be a little bit more looser than a lot of these wet flannel, fragile perfectionists who might be shouting at you in your comment section if you've not had your arm path align with the freaking Da Vinci Code might have you believe. The most important thing is just to have your form standardized. Is there an element of keeping things the same? And the best way to see that you are standardizing your form is to film yourself. Now, you don't have to be a TikTok wanker and whack a tripod out, but even just getting your phone against a water bottle and filming your lifts so then you can see week to week, is there any big great, glaring differences in form. And this is what we do inside my coaching app Proven, which if you haven't noticed, looks like it threw up on me. But all members and my clients go through my E3 system, which is just really to make me sound more snazzy, but it's just a way of organizing training. So the first E is about execution, making sure that the form is standardized, that we've got good control and that we're using muscle over momentum. And then once we feel we are ready to load the muscle, moving into the effort phase, learning about failure, learning about intensity, and then the final phase being the efficiency phase where we're trying to maximize your time in the gym. All programs are progressive and they are customized to you, your goals, your background, your equipment, and you're able to upload technique videos to the app so then I can review them and give you feedback to make sure that you're not going to shit a kidney, but also you're not being a wet flannel. All right, now let's say that you are training smart. You're keeping your volume in check, you're progressively overloading, you're recovering well. There's still one simple but overlooked trick to maximize your arm growth. And that's just like anything that wants to be loved in this world, which is to put them first. Boys, come on. Come on, come here. It's your time to shine. Because when it comes to your body, yeah, it plays favorites. Sorry, mate. Because muscles placed at the start of a session, they get more of your energy, your focus, they get greater stimulus, and therefore they get more growth. So if you're just tagging arms on at the end of a session, you're not going to get the greatest stimulus. Yeah, even if you haven't trained them early on in the session. You're my perfect ginger boy. Yep. Why? Well, because now you're tired, so you can't access the same level of intensity, and so your later sets suffer, even if you haven't hit that muscle group yet. So there's definitely something there to organizing your fatigue and just being smarter with your training, which again, with the context of this video, means putting arms first. But now you're thinking, well, how do I program this then? Which brings us to the main course of today's video. And so I'm about to tell you how I discovered putting arms prior to leg day and how it completely changed my programming. So nearly a decade ago now, 2016, I stumbled upon what I can only describe as the failed genetic experiment between Daniel Craig and a Belgian blue who named himself Jordan Peters. When I first found this guy, I saw he was big and strong. He got other people big and strong. So I'm just gonna follow what he says before I knew any of the science. And so I'd already been training for a little bit up to this point. I'd even dusted myself in some Dorito powder and thrown some budgie smugglers on stage. So I decided to go in with the half body approach. And the first thing I noticed was that biceps were tagged on at the start of leg day. Now, I never asked Jordan for the reason, I just did it. But the main reason is practicality. You've got more muscle groups in your upper body than your lower body. So just from a efficiency standpoint, it makes sense to tag biceps at the start of your leg day. When you're fresh, you can hit them, and it also acts as like a nice little warm-up for your legs. But there was a hidden benefit. It made me relentlessly consistent to showing up to leg days. And so not only did my arms get bigger, all of me got bigger. I went from 80 kilos to 105 kilos. If you're American, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. And that was only in a couple of years. Also thankful to my Polish wife, absolutely stuffing my face with pierogies. I did not need an arm day. My arms were small because all of me was small. I remember when I first started running this half body program, I was training with a PT that I used to work with in one of the London health clubs. And he said something to me which was, oh, you're training for that future muscle. It's like, Yeah, shouldn't we all be? But I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They chase the immediate gratification and the pump.
You washing dishes?
Is this not my role in the household? Is this not what I do? I am head of washing up and head of recycling.
Next thing you'll be like, oh, I'm folding laundry.
I'm washing dishes, I'm trying to just show people that I'm like a normal guy. So anyway, what I was trying to get at is if you're used to high volume, high rep, pump inducing workouts, then the lower volume approach might be a bit of a shock, but what we're training for is that future muscle. This is stuck. Jesus Christ. Like a toddler's grip. We're training for that type of muscle that fills out a t-shirt and actually shapes your physique. And that means picking the right exercises, movements that challenge the muscle where it's strongest, take it through a full range of motion, and allow you to progressively overload easily. With that in mind, here are my top 3 bicep and tricep exercises and how to fit them into a half body program. Well, at least washing up's done. Personally, I prefer to choose 2 exercises that are going to hit the muscle group from either different angles or contractile ranges, because we do have research to show how doing this will improve overall growth of a muscle, known as regional hypertrophy, as opposed to just doing the same movement pattern for multiple sets. Which is why if your arms are lagging, then starting off your upper body with some form of a push down or a cable crossover, something which keeps your upper arm fixed, because that's what's going to ensure that you are targeting the long head, as the long head crosses over both the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. So we need to keep it fixed in order for it to be targeted. After that, your main push movement should be something like a dip, close grip press, or JM press. These hammer the medial and lateral heads of the triceps, especially the JM press in the lengthened position. Pressing movements tend to disadvantage the long head of the tricep as we are moving our shoulder and our elbow at the same time, which is something known as antagonistic inhibition for the thesaurus lickers who actually give a shit. And remember, your triceps are going to be getting indirect work from every other press, so that's why it's important to prioritize your compounds. Now, my top 3 bicep builders are really the basic bread and butter ones which do the best, because they match up the resistance curve where the exercise is heaviest with your bicep strength curve where it's strongest in that mid-range, and we see that that has the biggest benefit for the biceps. So the first one is a seated dumbbell curl, but this is with your arms supported, because that's going to allow better form and better contractions really when you're actually doing the bicep curl itself. A preacher curl, because this loads the muscle through the short and the longer ranges. It's really, really stable and a great way to keep tension near lockout where the biceps have better leverage than the other elbow flexors. Finally, an incline cable curl. And we do have research to show that the biceps don't actually get any added benefit from being stretched, like a lot of people will claim every muscle needs to be stretched to Uranus. But I like the sensation and the feeling and just the overall contraction that an incline cable curl gives me, so that's why I like it. And so that's a lot of information to try to put together. So look, here's a example half body program which prioritizes your arms so that you can get the best growth possible, not only on your arms, but for the rest of your body as well. All this video has been showing you is what's worked for me and many of my clients, and the core principles of this can be applied to any muscle group. But I guarantee that if you were to just focus on trying to get overall stronger, overall bigger, and yes, prioritize your arms with that, you will see growth. Because I want to end on this, like, despite what social media blows your face off with all their opinions and screaming and disputes and whatever else, everything works. Arm days can work for some people at certain times. Push-pull legs can work for some people, and it's just finding what works for you, what you can stick with, what you train hard with, but most importantly, what you're seeing progressions with. All right, so quick recap of everything that we've gone over to maximize your arm growth, and we're going to do it in front of this pretty rose bush because, well, Marjana told me to. So 4 to 6 hard sets per muscle group per session, whether that be for biceps and or triceps. Train each of those muscles 2 to 3 times per week or every 3 sleeps to maximize recovery and continue progressions. Again, focus on progressive overload. You need to be getting stronger over time, but don't let progress on paper be form regression in disguise. And train your arms first if they're a priority, which if you've watched this video and you got to this point, I'm pretty sure they are. Put biceps on leg days to help balance out your split so you're not spending forever in a day on your upper body days. Choose movements that you can consistently overload. And most importantly, if your arms are small, it's a good chance that a lot of you are small. So just focus on getting bigger overall if you're a beginner to intermediate. If you're still wondering, whoa, what about rep ranges? What about warm-up sets? What about nutrition? What about supplements? Well, I actually put together an entire beginner's blueprint on the gym, which answers all of those questions and more, lays the groundwork to make sure that you're maximizing your progress in the gym. So check that out. I'm now gonna go snuggle my sausage dogs, my favorite one, and I'll speak to you in a bit.